This is session 9, managing schema objects. Okay, so what we will learn in this session is schema and database objects, setting up the environment for this, create database connection in the SQL developer, viewing tables, creating table, adding columns to a table, view index, create index, managing views, creating views, program code stored in database, that is stored procedures or PLSQL, temporary tables, the relationship between temporary tables and undo. This will give you an overview, a very good idea that how the objects are maintained in the Oracle database and how to create them. SQL Developer is one of the most popular developer environment because this particular topic is not the DBA topic as such, but DBA is supposed to know this thing. It is not a part of DBA training. I never seen that anywhere, but I have added it so that you get to know that what you are actually managing, what you are administering. You are administering the database and database objects. That is the reason I have included this schema objects. So thorough knowledge is not mandatory, but understanding of the overall concept is very much required for DBA. Schema and the database objects. A schema is a collection of database objects. A schema is owned by a database user and shares the same name as the user. Schema objects are logical structure created by users. Some objects such as tables or indexes hold data, but other objects like views or synonyms consist of definitions only. They never hold data, means they are not stored on the disk as far as data is concerned. They are stored on the disk as definitions only. That is a difference between views and tables. Setting up the environment for this purpose, you need to have some sample databases. You need to install some pluggable database, sample schemas in the pluggable database, and this URL have a lot of sample schemas. I have installed all of them. So the sequence of steps is precisely this: get this file, and this is official Oracle database sample schemas, github.com/oracle/db sample schemas archive, and 12.2.01. that means we have Oracle version specific sample schemas. So download the right version, extract it, change to the directory, and change all embedded path to match your working directory using this command, and then connect and run the script to create the sample schemas. SQL plus system/oracle at example.com, oracle.example.com, assuming that this is your host name, :1521 slash oracle orcl pdb, assuming that orcl pdb is your pdb name. In my case, this is my pdb name, orcl pdb. 1521 is the port on which I have configured it, and oracle.example.com is my host name. System is the username, /oracle is the password. So after /oracle is the password. And then how to run the sample schemas from the directory? Simple. The command is, there's a script actually, there's a script available here, and the script is this mksample.sql. So run the script mksample.sql. This is the username, this is the username, oh sorry, this is the password, this is sys password, this is system password. You have to supply the password of all the sample schemas. So this is sys, this is system password for these. This is password for HR schema, this is password for OE schema, this is password for PM schema, this is password for IX schema, then SH schema, BI schema, business intelligence, and HR, and all these are schemas. A lot of schemas are there. All these schemas will be created correspondingly, same users will be created, and I have kept it very simple. I have kept the same password so that I don't get confused that so many users are there, so what is the password for which user. So I've created this, and this is the user table space where they will be created. Every schema must have a temporary table space. What is the need of the temporary table space? You'll learn it in the session. User table space where the actual tables will be created, default table space I would say, default temporary table space, and the home directory, Oracle home demo schema log, where the logs will be placed. This is the logs, location of the logs. And then connection details. Connection is as I specified here. This is the connection. This complete part from here to here is the connection detail. So oracle.example.com :1521 / orclpdb. You specify these details, then it will read, it will install all these scripts. It will take 15-20 minutes time, but it will install all the schemas. Refer to readme.txt file for details of the syntax. All these details are mentioned in the readme.txt file created in this directory. When you are extracting the file, if you go to this directory, here you will find the readme.txt file. Verify the schema. Column object name format A30. This is basically to specify the format. When you display the output, generally display very long headings. So we are specifying only 30 characters heading for column name. Similarly for object type 30. So column object type format A30. Connect. Now we are connecting. First we are connecting to HR schema. HR schema, HR user, HR password. So user / password, HR/HR at oracle.example.com 1521 orclpdb. Select object name, object type from user object, order by object type. And this is a query which will give you all the objects of the schema HR by using this statement. So once you run this, you will get all the objects created by you, or rather created by the script. So once you have this script ready, then you are good to go. Yeah, here it is. This is a sample schema. I'm removing it and I'm downloading it here again. Starting from here, wget github.com Oracle sample schemas archive 12.2.01.tar file, right? And then I extracted the file, I changed to the directory, I connected to that. In fact, I also verified the file vi readme.txt file, and then I connected to that again, and then I run that script in that. So this is the simple command. Let me show you the file also. File is here, db sample schema. This is the file which is a tar file, downloaded file. Here it is, right? This is the file which I downloaded, and when you go to the directory db sample schemas, here you see all the scripts. mk sample, here it is, mk sample. This is a script which I run at the time of this. What is the syntax of the script? As I told you, this is given in the readme.txt file. This is the file. So let me open this file, vi readme.txt, and here you will see the syntax of this. This is how it is. So just see that here it is how we are running the script. So mk sample, system password, this was talking about sys password, HR password, OE password, PM password, IX password, all the password, and then connection details. Alright, and so this is the syntax which I used while invoking the script, and these are all passwords, right? And what all the schemas are: we have product media PM, we have information exchange IX, we have sales history SH, we have business intelligence BI, right? These are sample schemas. We have order entry OE. So OE is for order entry, product media for PM, then we have information exchange for IX, sorry, human resources HR. So this is a complete details about the sample schemas, and these are required for the training, because getting some sample data, just like World database in MySQL, remember? So same thing, we have World database there, we have sample schema here. All right, now SQL plus, and then after that system slash password at oracle.example.com. That's the host name, colon 1521 is the port number for TNS listener, and then ORCLPDB, where my database is running. So here I have to run the same script. You got the point? Next is you have to go to the SQL developer directory. CD Oracle home, Oracle underscore home slash SQL developer, and in this directory there is a script to run the SQL developer. Okay, we need to run the script. So let me run it and let me show you all these sample schemas and everything. Once the sample schemas are created, then we are going to play with it. We are going to run it and we are going to work on it. Fine. So to run the script, SQL developer .sh. As a developer, as a DBA you work on the command line, but as a developer you work on the SQL developer. And this is the connection which I created, ORCLPDB. Okay, so this is the connection. How you create the connection? You can see the connection details here, right? This is the connection, and edit connection or rename connections, or let's edit the connection. You can see the details of the connections by clicking on properties. So I clicked on the properties. I'm showing you the proper connection, how to create the connection. So this is how you create the connection. You give the name of the connection, any name of your choice, username, how you want to connect. I'm trying to connect as a system user, Oracle password, and saving the password, right? And then a host name, oracle.example.com, port number 1521, and the service name ORCLPDB. Fine. So I specify these details and then I test the connection. It display the message success, status success, and then save it and then connect it. Got it? This is how you connect. This is how you create connections. Once the connection is created, you are good to go. You see everything here, tables. Alright, and here also you see other users. Other users means we are going to talk about our own users, the schemas we created. So we have BI user, we have HR user, means a schema and corresponding schema, IX user, IX schema, OE, PM, all these schemas were created, right? Let's view some of the tables created by let's say HR schema. So click on HR, and then you see here under the tables. So tables, and these are the tables under HR schema, right? Country, department. Now you click on the country, for example. Okay, so when you click on the table name, it display you the details of the columns and data types. So I was talking about this country. These are the columns of the table, and here you see all the headings like columns, data. You click on the data, you will see the data of the table. Then constants on this table, countries. It's taking time. Don't panic if you waiting for editors to initialize. So this is the constants. Then we see the grants. And the most important is what I always emphasize. You learn these GUI tools to create your SQL queries. If you are new to the SQL, so go to the SQL. It will show you the query also, SQL, for that how to create the table. So it will generate the DDL, data definition language. Look at this. This is the query. That's it. You see, create HR.countries. That's it. This is the statement. Now problem is that everything was defined. No, you see here, create table HR.countries. So create table HR.countries. Now this is the column. This is how the table is created, right? Region ID number, constant, country ID, primary key, right? We have specified the primary key, enable the key. Foreign key, we specify that relationship setting, right? Foreign key, references. So this is the constant foreign key concept, and this is enabled. So segment, creation immediate, organization index, non-compress, PC tree, and this is a that organization of that. Then we have the buffer pool size, default flash cache, all are default values, and table space is where it is created is users, right? So comment on every table, on every column we have the comments also here. So these are comments. So this comment is nothing but information for developer. A good thing is that in Oracle you can put comments on the column. Comment on column hr.country is country ID. So comment is primary key of the country table. So what is this? This does not have any significance other than the user, other than the developer who want to understand the table, what table it is. So here we have these tables. So columns, these are the three columns with the data type, corresponding data type, and the comment here we specify. Similarly, this is the employee table. And then click on data and you will see the connections, data of the table. So this is how you can see the table. Similarly, if you want to see the views of this HR, you can click on the views and see here, and you will see all the views. This is the view which I created, employee detail views. Click on it and you will see the definition here. These are the columns. SQL will give the definition, and the data, when you click on that, you will get the data in the view. Exactly same way we can see the indexes. Click on the index and the employee ID, employee email, index, primary key, job index, right? You see the indexes also, how the indexes are created. Similarly, procedures, add job history, secure DML. So these are procedures, create or replace procedure, procedure name, and these are the parameters. Now this is the definition. After is begin. From here, this is the actual logic of the procedure. Same way, secure DML. And this is again a procedure, create or replace procedure, procedure name, and this is a program up to here, from here to here, begin. Then similarly, we have sequences, right? So all these you can specify here, and the good thing is if you want to add something, right click on the there itself and you see the new table. Right click on the view, new view. Right click on the editing views, right click on the index, create new index, package, new package. Alright, so just right click will be sufficient. So that's the point. Click on plus sign, you will see the packages. So let's create a table. Let's procedure, the one which is stored procedure in your package. Sorry. Package is a group of procedures. Package is where you define multiple procedures. You group them together. And look at how to create a table, how easy interface it is. You decide where to want to create it. You decide what are the name of the table. Let's create one table. TSP table 1. So name, and then specify the column name. So column name, let's say primary key, okay, ID, okay, 10, not null, and click on the primary key and it will become the primary key. Now it is coming, data type number. Alright, and default and comment, you can specify this. You want to add more column, click on plus and continue adding similarly. Got the point? So primary key, ID, constant, you specify the size, not null or default, and then you can see the DDL also for the same thing. That's how easy it is, right? And if you want to save the DDL, you can click on save. If you want to create it, you can click on create. Fine. And that's how easy. So same way we can create the indexes also. So install the sample schemas we have done. Now create database connection in the SQL developer. I showed you how to create that. In the terminal window, invoke the SQL developer, cd oracle home SQL developer /SQL developer.sh, right? And then you get this. This is where I created the screen connection. Remember, connection name, username, password, save password, host name, port, server name, service name, and then test. Here we can test and save it, and save password to save the password, right? This is a plus sign for creating a new connection. If you want to create, you can add as many connections as you want, right? In the connections navigator, right click on the connection node and enter new connections, and then you enter the details. And this is what I just showed you, right? Your connection is displayed in the connections tab on the left side, and a SQL worksheet is opened automatically on the right hand side, and your connection is displayed here, right? And we have seen this. And here you type the code. Here you see you can directly start typing the queries. Viewing tables, we have seen that. Click on the schema, expand the ORCL PDB node, expand the other users node, expand the HR node, and then under HR node you see the tables. Expand the tables node, right? And then you click on the table you want to see. For example, employees. So you click on the columns, you see employee columns. You click on the data, you see the data. You click on the SQL, you see the DDL for this. All right. Now you will be finding it easy, that because you have already seen this interface. Same way, viewing the data, you see the data, right? Then you click on the details. For example, you want to sort it. I missed that. You want to sort the table, so click on the last name column or whatever column you want to sort the data on. Right click on the column name, title of the column, and then click on sort. Alright, click on the column name and click on the right arrow to move it to the selected column list. Click OK. This is for sorting. Okay, this is for sorting. Here I'm talking about the sorting, to sort the data. Right click on the last name, column name, and then select sort in the menu. I'm talking about this, right? On the column name, right click, select the sort, and then you will get the sort dialog box. You will see all the columns, and then move the column from left hand side pen to right hand side using this arrow mark, right? Interface is quite easy, isn't it? And then click on OK. You will get the sorted data. Creating a table, the way I just demonstrated. Right click on the tables, click on new table, and you start adding the columns. Like I specified the schema, I specified that table name, and I specified the details. Now for you, I suggest that you keep the same data exactly. Why? Because you will be downloading a file. I'll be sharing the slides with you. You'll be downloading a file, you'll be importing data. So create the exactly same table as I'm demonstrating here in the presentation and the lab assignment, which I will share with you. Because there is already some sample data to import the data in the created table. So some relationship is there. So therefore you stick to the exactly same column, like purchase order number, the number data type. A name you can change, but the data type and the other things you should keep same, so that you have the matching columns. So specify the column name, data type, not null. Similarly, keep on adding the fields. So finally, purchasing order, PO number, description, date, vendor. Obviously this description is varchar, date is date type, right? And you specify the constraint, what is null, what is not null, right? Once the table is ready, you will see these columns. This is what you have created. Fine. Now you want to adding more columns. Now we just created a table. What if you have to add more columns to that? Nothing. Right click on the table name and click on add it. So you'll get the same dialog box again. That's the purpose, is that how to add additional column to a created table. So nothing, you simply edit it, right? And once you edit it, you will be able to add more columns, or you will be able to delete columns. Fine. And if you want to add more column, there's one more sign. Either you can click on the plus sign, or there's a shortcut also. Shortcut is Alt plus 1 to add more columns. You got my point? So you can click on the plus sign to add columns, or you can click on Alt plus 1 to add columns. So column tab is shown and you see the additional columns which you have created. Fine. So this is how you can add columns to the existing table. Now loading data into the table. This is a link from where you have to download the sample CSV file to to populate this table with some sample data. So load po.csv file. Alright. So download this file from here and then you select it. Alright. Right click on the username, select the edit user. On edit user window, click on quotas, verify that you have sufficient quota. Fine. Because we have used TSP TBS table space, so we need to verify that we have enough quota on the table space, right? So that you can import the data. And then importing the data is quite simple. Right click on the table, click on import data. So the process will begin and you select the file which you have downloaded. Right? Here it is quite important. Here you have to select the headers because there are headings in the table, in the sample table. Headers, then formatted CSV. Select the corresponding details properly. Alright. So click on browse and select the file name. Deselect headers. Ensures that format is set to CSV UTF-8. It's selected for encoding. Then select none from the left for left and closes, and then click on next. Right? Follow this as per given instruction in the lab assignment. Now this is the sample data displayed. Ensure that ensure import method is set to insert. Alright. And then you click on next and then again next. Verify the column in the source data columns list and its value is in the name field before this. So we specify the data, we match it the corresponding data type of the columns. This is a sample data. This is the sample data and this is the right hand side what we have in the table. So we are matching the data type and this is a sample. For example, I have selected this date here. I specify the format of this date here. And the moment I format, I get the detailed meaningful date here from the same converted date. This is the data which is required from the source, which is source data content, right? After formatting, this will be the data for you. Right word for this 3-step which we are working on this screen is called transformation. We are verifying the data, incoming data is matching with the data type of our columns. So it makes sense to do the transformation. If anything is mismatching, it will throw error at the end of it, right? So better to match it. So select the purchase order table and then you will be able to see there are only 2 records in that sample table, but they will be imported successfully. Then view indexes. Go to the indexes, HR schema, indexes, you select the index name and you see the detail. Creating index, similarly, click on that index and then right click and create index. So select HR user, in other users list, expand the table entry, right click on the employee table, select the index in the menu and then select create index and then specify what is the index name. Then add index expression and select salary in the expression field. This is salary index expression. Expression is here on which column you want to create the index. You want to add more index, you can click on plus sign. Quite logical. Index is not that primary key. Index can have duplicate values. Managing views, same thing, we have already seen that. Click on views and you click on that, you see the data, column, DDL, SQL, everything. Creating a view. Let's create a view named King View, which queries the HR employee table. This view filters the table data so that only employees who report directly to the manager named King, whose employee ID is 100, are returned in the query. So this is the target, this is the objective, to create this view with this data, expand the HR user, and then right click on the views and select new view. So enter the name of the view as king view, name field, and then enter the query, and query select a star from hr.employees where employee id is equal to manager id is equal to 100. Simple query, and that's how we define the view. So the view will be created. You give the name, enter the query, click OK, and you are good. View will be created. And now you will see the view here. You click on the data, you will see the data on the view, what you have created. So you can click on columns, data, grants, dependencies, everything about this view. Program code, that is stored procedure, or what we call it stored procedure in MySQL. Here we call it as a PL/SQL code. Okay. As a database administrator, you may be asked to revalidate schema objects that have become invalid. This is just an example code. All right. Schema objects such as triggers, procedures, or view might be invalidated when changes are made to objects on which they depend. What is the meaning of the statement? Statement is quite simple. You have triggers or procedure or view. You have created this view or trigger on some table, right? Of course you have the right to alter the table, alter the view, right? And due to that change, don't you think it is possible to possible for the procedure, for the program to become invalid? For example, you have taken a column and the column is dropped. You have changed the data type of a column, so the trigger will go invalid, right? Or procedure will go invalid, correct? This is the point. So to need to validate it. For this, yeah, this is what I am talking about. So schema object such as these might be invalidated when changes are made to the object on which they depend, and this is the real requirement of yours. So for this you will be required to create a new PL/SQL procedure. You will make a change to the table that is referenced in the procedure. This change will invalidate the procedure, right? So you will then recompile the procedure. So download this file, create add.po.sql from the URL. Log on to SQL Plus as system user, alter the session and set container to PDB, ORCL PDB in our case. Alter session, set container is equal to ORCL PDB, and then execute this procedure to create a new PL/SQL procedure and named TSPDBA add PO history exit from the SQL Plus. So this is creating your add PO history procedure, and you are going to study this. And this is the procedure. Set echo on, execute this, set define off, and now you are creating it. Create or replace procedure tspdba.add procedure history, and these are the parameters required. Purchase order number, PO description, PO date. Remember, we are using the same table which we have created. That is the reason I was talking about the table which we are creating. You have to use the same table name, same data type, because I will be using in importing the data, I will be using it in validating. This is actually a complete proper lab I am discussing as a session. Case study. So is begin, insert into purchase order, enter some data values, and add that procedure is created. So once the procedure is created, now you can work on it. Return to developer, expand procedure for TSPDBA user. Select your new add PO history procedure to view it in the SQL developer as the same procedure displayed here. Although you could have created here, but I just wanted to show you that you can create it on the SQL Plus also. Now the question is this: select the PO description column and change the size to, and click on OK. So we are going to see the effect now. So this is how what we are doing. Purchase orders, and we are changing the size to 250. Earlier it was 30 or 40, I think. Yeah, it was 40, I remember. So we have changed the type, we have changed the table, we have changed the column, right? So what will be the effect? We need to verify that now. In the reports pane, expand data dictionary reports, expand all objects and select invalid objects. Invalid objects, all reports, all objects and invalid objects. Select connection dialog box, click on the green plus sign to create a new connection, this plus sign. Enter the connection details and then you will see the invalid objects. The same details. Enter TSP-DBA connection name, enter connection details as displayed and connect. In the select connection window, verify that connection is set to TSP-DBA because this is what we are using. And then apply, enter the bind value window. This is where we are binding the value, verifying the invalid value because you have changed the column. You have to verify that column. You have to rebind the value in the procedure. You got the point? And this is the last and most important step. Click apply in the enter bind values window. This is the enter bind values window. Click on apply. The invalid object tab appears in the object pane. Right? Invalid object tab. This was not there earlier. Earlier this tab was not there. And now you will see. And this is the changes which you made. Remember, this is the column which you changed in this object because this object has become this procedure has become invalid now because of that change in the data type, a change in the size of the column. So in the invalid object page, select the add history procedure which you will see. Right click on it and click on compile. This is how you are revalidating the PLSQL procedure once it become invalid due to change in columns or the data types or the fields of the object on which they are dependent. And the compilation window appears. Click on apply. This will receive a success message. Click on OK and you are good now. Close the invalid object tab. Select invalid objects again in the reports pane. Connect to the TSP-DBA and reapply the bind values because you recompiled already, so no longer any invalid objects. You have already validated it. Temporary tables. Why do we need a temporary table space? You need temporary table space because you need temporary tables. Data in the global temporary table is private. Such the data inserted by a session can only be accessed in that session. In session specific rows in a global temporary table can be preserved for the whole session or just the current session. Now you see the use also. The use is for some sorts, for some temporary data holding. You create, see, in programming you create variables to hold scalar values, single values, individual values. What if you have to hold the temporary data of a table for some calculation, for a view, for some calculation, and then you don't need it, you don't want to store it permanently? So what do you do? You create temporary tables, and that's what the purpose. So on column delete rows clause indicate the column data should be deleted at the end of the transaction or end of the session. So that's how you create. Now how to create global temporary table, my temporary tables, number, right? On commit delete rows, insert into table. You can insert data, you can work on it, but insert, what we are talking about here, insert but don't commit. Then check the content of the global temporary table. So insert, select, you will see some data. We are not committed yet, but the moment you say commit, it is going to delete. Look at the purpose of this query now. You are keeping it in the transaction. The moment transaction is committed, you are deleting the data. You see the application now. This example is giving you application. So in a transaction, you may have to create a temporary table. The temporary table will remain as long as you are working in the transaction. The moment you commit, the table will be deleted. Row data will be deleted. You got the importance now? Temporary tables and undo. Although the data in the global temporary table is written to the temporary table space. Yeah. highlighted part. The data in global temporary table is written to the temporary table space. The associated undo is still written to the normal undo table space, which is itself protected by redo. So using a global temporary table does not reduce undo and redo associated with the protecting the undo table space. Oracle Database 12c included ability to create session private statistics, as allowing sessions to create and use their own set of statistics for each global table space temporary table. Alright, this new behavior is controlled by DBMS stats preferences, global temporary table stats, which can be set to shared or session. It is important to remember that the default Oracle Database 12c is now session, the default value, and this has some implication if you are upgrading to this release. That's all for this session. I hope you enjoyed it.